It's time for another Travelhound's Great American Road Trip Trivia Question. Where is the water park capital of the United States located? Is it A, Orlando, Florida, B, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, or C, the Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin? And the answer is C, the Wisconsin Dells. Yep, far from the warmer climes of the southern U.S., the Wisconsin Dells holds the title as not only the water park capital of the U.S., but also the world. There are more water parks here per capita than anywhere else on the planet. In fact, it's estimated that about 4 million people visit the Dells annually. And why not? It's home to more than 200 water slides, including America's largest outdoor water park, largest indoor-outdoor combination water park, tallest water slide, and a rotating water slide. But water parks are not what this Travelhound episode is about. Instead, we're going to explore the namesake of the town, a natural water park that predates all of the others by at least 15,000 years. Welcome to the Dells, a 5-mile gorge on the Wisconsin River that is famous for its stunning rock formations and tributary canyons. In this episode, we'll explore the beauty of this geological wonder by boat, including a cruise on a World War II-era duck boat. And we'll visit a cool restaurant where a miniature train actually delivers the food right to your table. So hold tight as Travelhound plunges into his next adventure. Long before the modern water parks made the Wisconsin Dells synonymous with family fun, the area already had a reputation for unique water features. 500 million years ago, the Dells, as well as all of Wisconsin, were nothing more than a sandy shore of an ancient sea. Over time, the sand on this shore became compacted. Fast forwarding to 15,000 years ago, a sizable portion of Wisconsin was covered by a glacial ice sheet. As the ice sheet started to melt, the runoff water formed a large and deep glacial lake. The Dells, as well as the Wisconsin River, were formed when an ice dam that held back the glacial lake melted, unleashing a torrent of water that ripped a deep gorge through the compacted sandstone, leaving behind the unusual sandstone rock formations that are still evident today. The Dells is actually a 5-mile gorge on the Wisconsin River, famous for its rock formations and its scenic beauty. The Kilbourne Dam, a hydroelectric dam built back in 1909, divides the Dells of the Wisconsin River into what is known as the Upper Dells and the Lower Dells. We started with an exploration of the Lower Dells by booking a tour with the original Wisconsin Ducks. Back in 1946, a group of local visionaries started the original Wisconsin Ducks as a way for tourists to access and enjoy the scenic wonders of the Dells. They purchased a unique vehicle from Army surplus that had played a vital role during World War II. It was called a DUKW, an amphibious vehicle that could transport goods and troops over both land and water. It was especially useful in World War II during coastal invasions of both Sicily and Normandy. DUKW is an acronym based on a General Motors manufacturing code. D stood for 1942, the year it was made, U for amphibious utility vehicle, K for front-wheel drive, and W for twin rear driving axles. For simplicity purposes, GIs named it a duck, since, like a duck, it had the ability to move on both the water and land. A ride on an original Wisconsin Ducks affords visitors the opportunity to not only cruise across the Wisconsin River and Lake Delton, but also ride through the surrounding scenic landscapes. After boarding a duck boat, we set forth on a trail that takes us down steep ravines, around rocky outcroppings, and into the beautiful Fern Dell. When we arrived at Echo Point, it was time to splash down for a cruise on the Wisconsin River.
And just like that, we're now boat afloat the Wisconsin River.
After a few miles, we left the river and headed up Dell Creek. With the water being much more shallow here, the driver disengaged the propeller, reverting back to the boat's six-wheel drive. And just like that, we were back on terra firma. Next stop, Newman's Dam in Lake Delton. Originally built in 1927, the dam transformed the upstream waters of Dells Creek into the 250-acre Lake Delton, now home to numerous resorts and tourist attractions. But in the spring of 2008, the Midwestern United States was pounded by heavy storms. On the morning of June 9th, Lake Delton was 51 inches over flood stage when it began spilling out over its banks, across County Highway A, and down a slope into the Wisconsin River. The steady stream of lake water ate away at the sandy soil until the earth gave way, opening a 400-foot wide channel that unleashed a surging torrent of Lake Delton's water into the river. Less than 2 hours later, Lake Delton was gone. All 600 million gallons of its water now drained into the Wisconsin River. But believe it or not, there is a happy ending to this disastrous tale. Remarkably, by the spring of 2009, the breach had already been repaired and County Highway A reconstructed to better withstand future floods. In less than a year, Lake Delton had been completely restored and was open for business. As our duck boat splashed down into Lake Delton, it was inspiring to see that the waters of this recreational mecca were flowing again and restored to its former glory. But alas, I digress. The last leg of our tour took us through the woodland trails of the Lower Dells Scenic Park, around the hairpin turns of Roller Coaster Hill, and down the steep slope of Suicide Hill. Our duck then turned up a sharp incline and entered the fern-filled Redbird and Black Hawk gorges, carefully threading its way through the narrow cliffs of sandstone. And then, just like that, our fun-filled tour of the beautiful dells on both land and water was over. Before our next adventure in the dells, we set off down Highway 12 for some lunch at one of the coolest restaurants we've ever been to. This is Buffalo Phil's, a one-of-a-kind dining experience that the whole family will enjoy. A visit to Buffalo Phil's is a feast for the eyes as well as the belly. Its Western-themed log-style interior makes you feel like you've just stepped into Yellowstone's Old Faithful Inn instead of a restaurant. As for their fare, they offer everything from rotisserie chicken and barbecue to pizza and pasta. But what really sets Buffalo Phil's apart is that the food is delivered right to your table, courtesy of a miniature train. Yes, that's right. Scattered throughout the restaurant are a number of tracks that weave their way through the dining areas. After a member of the waitstaff takes your order, your food and drink are delivered right to your table atop a flatbed train car. And to top it all off, each layout area is decked out with scenic miniatures. Since our visit back in 2018, they've also added Bricktown, a miniature model of the Dells made completely out of Legos. So if this video has inspired you to take a trip to the Dells, you've got to pay a visit to Buffalo Phil's, a fun-filled dining adventure for both the young and the young at heart. After lunch, we headed to Dells Boat Tours for yet another boat ride, this time on the Upper Dells. Thanks to the dam, the river in the Upper Dells is much wider and deeper. Unlike our earlier boat tour, this adventure included 2 shore landings where we could get out and walk amongst some of the stunning formations. Our first stop was Witch's Gulch, a slot canyon renowned for its narrow passageways and towering sandstone walls. Entering into this mesmerizing and mysterious geological wonder was like stepping into an entirely different world. Courtesy of a series of wooden boardwalks, you can wind your way through this 2-mile-long gorge that, like the rest of the dells, was carved out by the flowing waters of the Wisconsin River. Worn away by the twisting and winding pattern of the water that has flowed through over thousands of years, the eroded rock walls bear witness to nature's artistry. In fact, the stream that cut through the sandstone is still visible, coursing below the boardwalk. And if the sandstone cliffs weren't enough to make us feel small, the forest continuing on above the cliffs only further enhanced the effect. Wandering through the narrow passages of Witch's Gulch, you can't help but be awestruck by the natural beauty that has drawn generations of explorers to this extraordinary place. Back on board the boat, our guide prefaced our next stop with a story about an individual who played a huge role in turning the Dells into a popular tourist destination. Way back in the late 1800s, a local landscape photographer by the name of H. Bennett started taking pictures of the Dells' unique rock formations. As his photos became popular and were seen by more and more people across the country, many flocked to this area to see the natural beauty for themselves. The Dells quickly became a destination for sightseers eager to leave behind the bustle of city life. In the meantime, Bennett continued to innovate in the field of photography by inventing a stop-action shutter, which allowed him to take photographs of instantaneous events. To prove its effectiveness, he set up a shot at one of the Dells' most well-known rock formations, Stand Rock. Bennett had his son jump from a nearby rock outcropping onto Stand Rock while they photographed him. The result was a photo that captured a clear and detailed image of his son, mid-flight, without the accompanying blurriness that was typical of other cameras of that time period. By the end of our guide's story, our boat had arrived at our next stop. And after a short stroll past more amazing rock formations, we arrived at the site of Bennett's historic photo. As homage to his son's famous mid-air leap, we were treated to a reenactment of the feat by a trained dog. And while the allure of a doggy treat was enough to convince him to jump over to Stand Rock, getting him to get back across was a little more challenging.
Target. Target. Okay, good boy. Come on. Let's give target.
Whoa! H. Bennett loved the beauty of the Dells. When a proposal was made to build Kilburn Dam, he passionately objected to its construction for fear that it would conceal many of the scenic caverns and unique rock formations that he had captured with his camera. Ultimately, he lost the fight, and Kilburn Dam was completed in 1908. As he feared, the dam caused the river to rise 17 feet higher on the upper Dells. But despite the fact that many of these unique features now lie beneath the surface of the water, our cruise through the upper Dells still provided plenty of scenic beauty to behold, earning Dells boat tours an enthusiastic 2 paws up. The Wisconsin Dells may be known as the water park capital of the world, but it's so much more than just a haven for water enthusiasts. For over 160 years, visitors from all over the country have come to the Wisconsin Dells to witness its natural beauty and stunning sandstone formations. So whether it's action-packed adventure or a relaxing getaway, The Wisconsin Dells offer something for every member of the family to enjoy. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like it. Better yet, become a subscriber by clicking on the button in the lower right-hand corner so that you never miss out on Travelhound's upcoming adventures.